All right. Hi, everyone. It is 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining this webinar today, Artificial Intelligence Toolkit for the Special Education Provider with Amanda Peters. Before we get started, we have just a couple of announcements. Please make sure that you are muted in Zoom unless you have a question or a comment for the presentation. And then I also want to draw everyone's attention to the chat where there is a link to a sign-in form. Please take a quick minute to fill out that form to let us know that you are here. These webinars are sponsored by the Colorado Department of Education, and we need to let them know who attended. So we will put that link in the chat multiple times throughout the presentation. You only need to fill out the sign-in form one time. We'll also put a link to the slides that Amanda is sharing, as well as a link to her AI toolkit in the chat a couple of more times. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amanda Peters. Thanks so much for your time today. We are so excited to learn about AI tools for SPED providers.
Yeah, thanks everyone for logging in. I'm really excited to talk about AI tools with you today. So I'm an instructional technology coach for an intermediate school district here in Minnesota. And as an intermediate school district, we have mostly Setting 4 programs for students with unique needs, as well as an alternative learning center and some career and technical education programs. Plus, we provide itinerant services to our member districts. And I get to be the tech coach for all of those programs. So I end up doing a wide variety of things, including leading both our district assistive technology team and recently forming our district AI innovators group. So I also got to be in charge of writing our district AI guidelines. And so I've been immersed in the AI world for a couple of years now, since it became apparent that this was going to impact us all. Um, and one thing that we do in our AI Innovators group, one of our major responsibilities is to pilot AI tools before we roll them out to the rest of the district. And that's how this AI toolkit that we're going to talk about today came to be. So our learning targets today is I want you to learn AI tools that will save you time and help your students be more independent. So I want you to walk away being able to identify
Like,
official
really, it's
and
a good time to reset some of those like habits that I think are for. And I think
um,
her, I just made a joke.
save
Is there any
yourself time
kindergarten
doing paperwork and lesson prep, both of those things. And I want you to be able to evaluate which artificial intelligence tools would benefit you and your students, because maybe not all of them are applicable to you, but we're going to look close enough at them that you should be able to decide if it's something that you want to take a closer look at. So again, we're going to look at AI tools, and we're going to mainly focus on just the free versions of the following tools: Curipod, Magic School AI, Brisk, and Goblin Tools. We'll also possibly look at Seeing AI and Google Lookout, or at least touch on those mobile apps. And if we have time, we might take a sneak peek at some low-cost tools called AbleSpace and Nookly. I feel like every time we're talking about AI, I have to throw this in here, right? We always want to use AI with integrity. We protect student and staff personal information. We always inform people when we use AI and how we used it, never claiming AI generated content as your own. And we always review any content generated by AI for bias and inaccuracies before we put it in front of students or anyone else for that matter. So this toolkit was really designed to give you a small number of tools that make a big impact. The amount of tools that's available, artificial intelligence tools, is overwhelming right now, right? And we don't need to access 50 tools. We need a few tools that will help us overcome our to-do list and help us spend more time focusing on working with students and less time on the paperwork. So the toolkit really is focused on tasks. So we thought in our AI innovators group about all the tasks that prevent us from spending time with students and all those tasks that are barriers to our students being successful. So we listed out tasks and we found tools that would help us meet or help us complete the majority of those tasks. Also within this toolkit, all of the tools had to be safe for school use. And kind of our general guidelines is that it must not fail the privacy rating by Common Sense Media, has to be FERPA COPA compliant, must follow district media use guidelines, must not contain violence or sexually explicit materials. So there is a link to the toolkit in your in the chat, like Claire said, and we are just going to hop out there. We're going to spend the majority of our time, out looking at the tools rather than in the slides, because the tools are the fun part. So if you click on that link there, it's going to take you out to a blog where this toolkit lives. If you scroll down a little bit on that page, so you can see over on the left, we have all our tasks listed, and then we have all our tools listed across the top. And so we're going to take a look first of all at Curipod, which is going to help us generate interactive slides. And because this is so fun, I thought I would let you try this out as if you were a student. So I'm going to go ahead and start this, this Curipod lesson or presentation. So you can go ahead and, sorry, I'm going to turn my volume down just a little bit. It's just playing some background music. So you'll see that when I open one of these, you can send students a link or they can join with a QR code. And while the student enters their real name, you have the option to make them anonymous, so no one knows who is saying what, who is responding which way. And I'll just go ahead and wait until we get some more people in there. Gives you all some fun nicknames. We have Walking Pizza and Helpful Volcano, Brave Actor. So the kids kind of appreciate this. The other nice thing is that you can moderate. So there is a moderation thing down here. So this works a lot like if you have used Pear Deck or Nearpod where there's some interaction going on. The difference is with Curipod, it helps you create the lesson itself. So you're using artificial intelligence to create the lesson, and it gives you some really nice reports about the students' responses. Okay, so we are slowing down pretty good here. I think I'll go ahead and start. Hopefully everyone who wanted to get in is in. All right. So this looks very much like a slideshow. We can make this full screen if we wanted. I'm going to leave it just like this so it's easier to keep switching. And again, like I said, this is interactive, right? So you have 6 different types of interactive slides that you can create. You can create an open-ended question where students just type in their answer. You can create a poll so students have multiple choices. There is a really nice drawing tool, and our occupational therapists really like this. With that draw tool, you have the ability to add in your own background if you want. So that's nice. And then you have a word cloud feature. And then you can choose to have AI give your students feedback on their open-ended question, as well as an AI whiteboard, which works just like the draw feature, except AI can give students feedback on their drawings. So these are really great for those quick, like, I need a brain break activity, I need an exit ticket, I need a bell ringer, but it also will produce complete lessons for you based on the prompts that you give it. Or you can upload a PDF, for example, of maybe you upload a PDF of a reading a reading activity, right? A story that you're reading. You can upload that and Curipod can create a lesson around it for you. And of course, you have the ability to edit that lesson so that it meets your needs and meets your students' needs. Uh, so I'm going to let you go ahead and test this out. You guys are all in here. I'm going to say start this activity. It'll give us a timer, but you can always adjust that timer if your students need more or not as much time. And you will see on your screen that you should have the ability to view those slides on your own device, as well as view them on a big screen. And as the teacher, I can monitor over here how many responses I'm getting. So I am looking forward to seeing what you all are using right now. We're down to 5 seconds here. Okay. So now we can click to share that word cloud and we will all see it. All right, so I see we have people using Magic School and ChatGPT, Nothing, Grammarly. This is awesome. Goblin Tools. So lots of things. And as people who have been in the field of assistive technology for a while, you've been using AI for a long time. The thing that's new is all this generative AI stuff, right? So we've been using it longer than most. So this one, I'd love to know if any of you have used Curipod or to what extent you have used it. So this is your multiple choice or poll question. Okay, so a few people have maybe played with it a bit, but most of you haven't used this one yet. So that's good to know. So we will keep going here. So this is that drawing tool. So you can go ahead and draw your favorite memory from winter break if you are back. We are back here in Minnesota. I'll go ahead and start the activity. You can also see here that if, as the teacher, I can choose to freeze everybody's screens. And I might do that if I want to stop and explain something, right? So I would say these drawing tools are the ones that get used the most often. Um, and even for our service providers who see students one-on-one, they will often use this drawing tool and these interactive slides just as something different. So you wouldn't have to necessarily use this as a group. Getting down here to a few seconds left. Okay, so I can see that 58 of you did some drawing. And now we have this option to do something where we can start voting if we want. And so students could vote for the drawing that they like the most. We'll go ahead and give you just a little bit of time to do that. Of course, you want to use that with caution, right? Sometimes it's better if you're just trying to decide on like a class activity or something like that, rather than trying to decide who did the best. Down to our last 5 seconds. Okay, so we can see our top 3 votes. These are awesome. And we can click on these and make them big screen and show them to everybody else. That looks like a lot of fun to me. Um, we can also choose to show all of them so that we get to see everything. So we get to see everybody's pictures here. Again, you'd want to tell your students that you were doing this so that they knew other people were going to get to see their drawings. But if you have some real sensitive students, you wouldn't have to show them either. You also can skip the voting. All right, so want to give you the opportunity just to try one of the AI feedback options here. So write an argument for why you should get tomorrow off of work. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to end the activity now. So go ahead and finish up your sentence. Okay, so as the teacher, I can see we have 59 answers submitted, and now I can choose to give students that AI feedback. So I'll give you just a few minutes to read the feedback that you're getting from Curipod. It's usually pretty helpful. The other thing to keep in mind is that when I created this presentation, I chose the grade level, including one of the grade levels is professional development. And I did choose the professional development grade level. And so your feedback is based off of the grade level that I set this. So your expectations, right, are based off of the grade level that you specify as the teacher. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the lesson, and we'll take you back to the teacher side of things so that you can see what this looks like. So one of the nice things here is that you can see who answered which question. Um, and then you can even dive in a little bit deeper and go into each student and actually see their answers. You can also have Curipod give you just a general summary of how your students did without you actually going in there and weeding through it. So you might do this, get that summary of insight first, and then maybe go back when you have more time to really dive in. But this is nice to have this documented so you can refer back to it, maybe when you're doing progress reports, those sorts of things. So I'm just going to show you what Curipod looks like when you log in here. If I go to home, this is what it looks like. Again, it's free. Everything everything I'm going to show you today is based off of the free version. And so usually you would start by getting a lesson. And so you can see that you have a few options here. Very popular is the established daily routines. So this is your brain breaks, your bell ringers, your exit tickets. But there's also, like I said, generating a complete lesson. But they all work very similar. So let's just go into one of these and say establish daily routines. And so here I can work on some vocabulary. I can do a bell ringer. I can do a brain break or some social emotional learning or an exit ticket. So I'm just going to choose exit ticket for now. I'll say get lesson. If you want to go into a little bit more details, you can look at this lesson more carefully, get a better idea. So we are going to specify what grade level. So I'm just going to say second grade. Let's see. I'm going to try and clear the annotations off of the screen. So I'm going to say second grade. Sorry, all my Zoom controls are getting in the way. And topic. So let's just say winter. And now it's just going to take a couple of seconds, and it's giving you one slide to do with your students. What's your favorite thing to do in winter? Describe it in 1 or 2 sentences. So now this works just like any other slideshow, like a Google slide or PowerPoint. And so you can just add text over here from the left. You can add any media. You can change the background. You do have the ability to translate into different languages. And then again, all you're going to do is click on Start Now to start that lesson. So that is just a little bit about Curipod. Are there questions before we move to our next tool?
When we were on the slides to vote, it seemed like very hard to do that. Like I had to choose skip. And so I wasn't able to really go back to vote on something. Is that the way that was supposed to be?
It is not super intuitive. It is my least favorite feature of Curipod is their voting feature.
I'm thinking about just going to the SLP thing, like leaving here after and getting lunch and oh my gosh.
Other questions?
Does it go all the way down to preschool level or is it just first grade?
It does. It goes down to pre-K.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? All right. So it looked like some of you have some experience with Magic School. One of my absolute, they've done some new things though with Magic School, which I am super excited about. So even if you've used it, if you haven't explored custom tools yet, we'll do a little bit of that. But here I am in Magic School. Again, you just go to magicschool.ai and you can sign up for free. As you can see, Magic School has a ton of tools, a ton of tools. I'm just going to scroll so that you can see how many. So I have marked a few of them as my favorites up at the top. There's a UDL choice board generator. There's an IEP generator, a text leveler, social stories. And then if we go and look at all tools, there's an image generator, presentation generator, just on and on and on here. We can see all of our choices. So teacher jokes, vocabulary list generator. But all of these tools work very similarly, right? So if we open up social stories, for example, we can choose our grade level. Let's just go down to second grade. And then we enter in our social situation. And I'm just going to say having a substitute. Oh, you should spell right, Amanda, though. Having a substitute teacher. And then we'll say generate. And so it is instantly generating my social story. And so I'll just read just a little bit of it to you. It says, I'm going to school today and I will have a substitute teacher. A substitute teacher is someone who fills in for my regular teacher when they are not there. And then it tells the student what the substitute teacher's name is and that she's nice and wants to help us learn. So pretty cool that it will do that for you that quickly. You can go in and edit it. You can also copy, paste it into another program if you want to do something more with it there. So that's how it works for the most part. One of the things a while back I was the most excited about was that you could upload a PDF document and then have Magic School create comprehension questions for you, or to level the text. And so let's just go in here and I'm gonna keep this at second grade level. But I can go into my computer. I mean, lots of times students will bring a document into, or a document is shared with a student that is not at their reading level, right? So here we upload that document and we say, let's reduce this down to a second grade reading level. And you can see that now it just copied that and made the reading level much easier. I think I had a couple of extra things in that document as well. That's why you're seeing more than just some text about fossils. So some really nice tools, but one of the things that I especially like about it now, more recently, Magic School has added this ability to create a custom tool. And that is a real game changer when it comes to using Magic School to maybe help you with some of your due process paperwork. So I think especially like with the IEP generator, every district wants their IEPs done just a little bit different. And Magic School isn't going to give you necessarily exactly what you want. And so that used to be there was a lot of editing you had to do after it gave you some suggestions. But now with this ability to customize a tool, we can just click on that, show you how that works really quickly here. You can select a tool to customize. So again, I mentioned the IEP generator. It also works great to customize the BIP generator. But one of the things we've found in our district we really like it for is to help us write up our parent interviews when it's time to do due process. And so we use the text proofreader tool. So there it is. And I'm just going to choose to customize that. So here I just get to change the name. So let's just say parent interview write up. So not just parent interview write-up, but really any of your evaluation write-ups where you have some text that you can copy and paste into there. And so now you can describe it. We'll just say, send me an eval report. Okay, and then next we can hit next up there. And now this is where you have the ability to add your custom instructions, right? And so when I think we have something, we use the transition rating scale and parents do an interview as well. And so there's always an introductory paragraph that we put at the top of our write-up from that parent interview. So I'm just gonna paste that in here, and I'm just going to say start with the following paragraph. We'll put that in there. And then there's some headings that we always want to include. So I would just tell Magic School to please include the following headings. And I'm just going to copy that. We'll put it back in here. And I think I reworded it better in that document I just copied from. I told AI that, or Magic School, that all parent input should be put under these headings. Because then it will take my chicken scratch of notes in digital form, and it will categorize them into those headings that I wanted. So now we moved on to our next screen here, and this is gonna let us test the prompts that we just put in there. So we could put in our text and play with it, make sure that we are getting the outputs we want, and then we can save it. And so now it's creating this custom tool for us, and we can copy in you know, just our notes, our incomplete sentences that have a bunch of spelling errors in it because we were quickly taking notes during the interview or the eval. And it will spit out a nice report for us. So where that tool ends up then is back down underneath your All Tools section. And this is the one we just created. But what's really great is you can go in there now and you can share this with your colleagues. So if you have someone who wants to take different protocols in your district that you use and everyone kind of customizes one of these tools to produce a nice write-up, you can then share the tool and you just click, you go up to Actions and down to Share Tool. You'll have to make it public. And then you can just copy the link, email the link to a colleague who also has a Magic School account. They will click on the link and then that will become part of their Magic School dashboard. So that is something that we have really appreciated in the last couple of weeks. All right, any question? Oh, I should also mention that Magic School also has this option for you to launch any of these tools to students. So you essentially create a student room, and it's a safe place for students to learn about AI, to practice AI. So when we think about these, so here I already have one student room, but to add any of these, we can say launch new student room. So mostly what I showed you were the tools, right, that that are helpful for teachers. But some of these tools would be really helpful for students as well. So when we think about, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and do this. We're just going to leave this name as student room, and let's go ahead and choose a different grade level. Let's go up to 4th grade. Maximum number of students, I'm just going to leave it at 250, and we'll say next. But here is where you can choose the tools that you might want to give to students. So we often will have students create images for an assignment, and this is really great if you have students who need to work on their descriptive language, because it's not going to generate something, they're going to have to keep at it, right? If you've done any image generating before, you know that you have to be creative about how you describe what you want AI to produce. So we use that one quite a bit. We also, you can do custom chat bots. There are tutors, so you could have Magic School tutor the student on a particular topic. Let's just go ahead and add that one. And so lots of options when you start to think about how you might use these. So now we can go next. And now, just like we could customize these for our own needs, we can customize these for our student needs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click customize. And so this looks a lot like what we did before, but you can really describe real specific details that you want AI to help the student with. And the AI will not give them any answers, but it will help the students come up with their own answers. And then you just go in and you say launch room. And so you can see we have a few ways to launch this room. You can project a join code. There's a URL that you can generate and send to students, or you can paste it in Google Classroom. So I will just, if you are super curious about how this works, I will go ahead and copy that. And we can paste it into the chat just so you can play with that a little bit if you decide to. And questions about Magic School?
Amanda, there's one question in the chat that says, can you combine two tools into one? For instance, creating a social story with the image generator so it includes text and images.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? No, you cannot. But what you can do is you can, so what I've done with the social stories is I've generated a social story and then put that into the presentation generator and generated a presentation from the text that I got. So it's still a two-step process, but you're essentially getting the same thing. That would be a really nice feature to be able to combine those. Yeah. Other questions?
One other thing, it might be an annotation on your screen.
Yes.
Can you try going into Zoom and under the More menu? Is there a clear annotations option?
There is. I tried it before and it did not. Let me just, it's not going away.
That's not doing anything.
It's not here. Maybe if there we go.
There we
Okay.
go.
I
Okay.
found another button.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping me pause to do that.
I don't see anything else in the chat.
Okay, sounds great. All right, so let's go ahead and move to our next tool. I did not notice that anyone else said that they used Brisk. So Brisk is a Chrome extension. Again, if you go back to your the toolkit here, all of these are linked in here. So we're skipping over Goblin Tools to Brisk. Brisk is a Chrome extension that just sits on top of all of your of all the sites that you give it access to, including your Google Drive files. But what's Brisk, lots of overlap with what Magic School does. But because it's a Chrome extension, the workflow is much different. And so we can start on a website here, National Geographic Kids, and I can generate all my lesson resources through this. So we start here. And a couple of things I can do right away. I can change the reading level. Let's just go ahead and do that so you can see what that looks like. So I clicked on change reading level and it gives us, it's saying that this reading level is currently at a 5th grade level. Well, that's a little too high for my students, so I'm going to bring that down to 2nd grade. And then I'm going to just click on change reading level. So you see it automatically opens up a new tab for me. It will include the pictures that it can. And it's going to give this at a different reading level. From there, I have some options to add on some other things. So maybe I want to make a complete lesson plan from this article. So I can click on lesson. And it says create a lesson plan about this article. That's exactly what I want to do, but I could change this prompt too, so that it was more specific about what I want that lesson plan to do. And then again, I can choose some standards, but again, I choose a grade level and I choose how long I want this lesson to be. And then I say brisk it, not brisket like you eat, but brisket. And so now right in this same document, it's adding my lesson plan. It's giving me materials needed. It gives the lesson outline, complete with like what you can do for an introduction and a conclusion. tells you what you can do for an assessment and for extensions. And if we just scroll back up there a little bit so you can see a little bit more of this, it put in a reading activity for 15 minutes. So that's great. Gave me Common Core standards that this lesson will cover and my objectives. It's a Google Doc, so I can change it however I want. Now I can go in here and I can create a worksheet on this if I want. I could also create a quiz from this. And you can see above that, we could have Brisk rewrite it. We could have it make it shorter, make it longer, give it more details, less details, those sorts of things. What I really like about Brisk, it does one of the nicest jobs of creating a Google form quiz. And so again, Brisk tries to anticipate what I want my prompt to be. And in this case, it says create a quiz about this lesson plan. That's exactly what I want, but I could change that. I can also change my grade level again, and I can change whether I want multiple choice, short response, long response, and how many questions I want this to be. And then I can choose next. And I'm going to choose that I want it in a Google Doc. And then I can say Brisket. Oops. I was signed in at one time. Sorry about that. So it does take just a minute, but it's giving me my title. It's asking the main diet of bald eagles, how long can bald eagles live in the wild? And it's automatically setting this up as a quiz with all of the questions being required. So I can also from here choose to add on a short response question or a long response question if I want to give some more options for my students. Now, similar to the way Magic School had the student room, Brisk has the ability to do something called Boost It. And so when you're on any of your digital files, doesn't have to be one that Brisk made, it can be anything. You can click the button there that says Boost It. And now you can choose what kind of an activity you want to create. And when you create this student activity, it's going to give, Brisk will help the student complete the activity. And so let's just go ahead and say assess so that you can see you could do a pulse check, an exit ticket. And there's multiple more steps I could show you, but that's how you get in there and it's all pretty easy. I'm keeping an eye on the time. And so I'm going to leave you with just that much and you can keep exploring on your own if you want. But one of my favorite things about Brisk is that it has this wonderful thing that allows you to inspect student writing. And so we know that those AI detectors that are out there are very biased. And so we want to be an advocate for our students and ask teachers to try not to use those AI detectors because it accuses many students of cheating who haven't. But this method is much, much better, right? In many ways. So what you get to do, if this was a document that a student submitted to me, I have my Brisk Chrome extension here, the little B icon. Not sure why it's asking me to sign in again. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so you maybe had to do all those things as well. If you just signed this up or signed up for this tool. But here we are. We're going to skip through all of these and go right into try the tool, which is what we were trying to do. So I'm back here. Just hopefully stayed. All right. So now we have this option to inspect student writing. And so this will show you the students' process when they started writing. So we can see here how many edits they're making to this document. And every time they've pasted a chunk of text, it flags it. So we can see it's flagged this much. But this just also gives us, we can speed this up, slow it down. We see how much time the student spent in the document. And we see that there were 2 chunks of text that were pasted. So if we go into our little clipboard here, we can see this. That's quite a bit of information that was pasted. So maybe we need to talk with the student about why that is. But that is the inspect writing feature of Brisk. Okay. Questions about Brisk before we move on?
There are a couple of comments. I don't think any questions so far, but someone said Brisk is great. Someone else said can't wait to try it. A couple of people said they're not able to access Brisk in their district.
That's right. That's too bad. I know
Yeah.
that happened.
And someone said Napkin AI is another great tool for anyone who hasn't heard of it.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, so we just looked at Brisk. We have, looks like we have 8 minutes left, and it looked like lots of you were familiar with Goblin Tools. If you have not taken a look at Goblin Tools in a while, I'd encourage you to take a look at it again. But this, because they have added a lot more features, just like it seems like all AI tools do. So Magic School or Goblin Tools is most well known for its magic to-do lists. And so you can add in an activity and this will break it down. And so I added in the activity of writing a 5-paragraph essay. And then Goblin Tools broke each of those steps down. And you can do not just classroom activities, but also something like wash the dishes by hand, and it will give you all the steps for washing the dishes by hand. So no more of the manual task analysis of a particular job. But let me just show you, let's say, clean my room, and let's look at what Magic To Do gives us here. So we can go over here and we can say break down the item. And that's it's gonna think for just a minute here. And then it gives us all these steps. Gather cleaning supplies such as a vacuum, broom, dust cloths, and garbage bags. But what's really great is if there is one of these that is still too big of a step for a student, like maybe it's organize items in drawers, closets, or on shelves to create a tidy appearance. We can break this down further. So we just click on it. It's going to give us some more steps there. And the other nice thing is one of the newer features, not super new anymore, but that wasn't around at the beginning, is you can also have Goblin Tools estimate how long one of these tasks is going to take. Many of our students have a hard time with that time management or knowing how long something is going to take. But of course, you can go in here and you can edit any of these tasks and manually add subtasks to them as well. So that is just one of the many options there for Goblin Tools. So take a look at these other ones. They are really great as well. All right, so we're going to try and get through. I wanted to also just quickly show you some student tools that are very popular in our district. And I'm going to try and bring up my iPad here to do that for you. Because on the toolkit list, you will see Seeing AI and Google Lookout listed. Okay. And so I want to bring up, and what these are going to do is read text for students. They are mobile apps. They are very, very similar. Seeing AI is for iOS devices, and Google Lookout is for Android devices. This is also similar to detection mode in the built-in magnifier app on your iPad. But I'm just going to choose Seeing AI here. So you can see down at the bottom, I have the first option chosen for short text, which means any text that moves into the window, Seeing AI is going to read for our students. So the next option down there at the bottom is to read in document view. And so now it's going to give a chance to position the document. This is a little awkward. And I'm not sure how good of a picture that got. Not so bad. But now I have my document in digital form and I can go ahead and listen to it this way. Yep, I'm gonna have to press that on my so you can see it does some really nice highlighting of the text then for students, and you have the option to do a whole bunch of other things with that document once it's in there. There's other options that Seeing AI and Google Lookout will do for you as well. But we'll cover just those so that we can have a couple minutes here just to wrap up. Oops, I didn't want to stop sharing everything, just my iPad. Go back here. All right. So let's go down. Wanted to point out that on the slide, starting on slide 8, these link out to paid versus free pricing plans of Magic School and Curipod, and then Brisk on the next slide. Wanted to just mention real briefly Able Space, which automates IEP goal tracking and reporting. Takes what you currently do to track data in Google Forms sheets and automates it, creating nicer graphs and progress reports. And it includes a mobile app for tracking data on the go. The free version is kind of limited, but the paid version, you can even get IEP system integration and third-party billing automation, which people really like. So that was Able Spaces. Nookly is a new one we just started evaluating in our district. This one is not free, but it does personalized visuals. So visual schedules, social stories. And what's so great about it, if you look at the little, the screenshot here, you not only can specify the student's hair color and hair type and hair length and skin tone, but you can also match the assistive devices that they use. So if they use a wheelchair, you can choose that. If they use an AAC device, you can choose that. And you can add as many of those as you want. So that is really great. That's supposed to say for STEM boards, visual schedules, SEL lesson plans, and just everything we talked about. I would love to connect with you. We kind of went through a lot of things fast, and I could share a whole lot more. These are some ways we can connect if you want. But that is what I have for now. Are there any other questions?
Amanda, one person asked if they could share the toolkit and these slides with their OT team.
Yes, absolutely. Share away.
Amazing. All right.
Amanda, I was clicking at the bottom of your toolkit pod thing or whatever toolkit.
Yep.
Down
Up
in
here.
the bottom, yeah, it says IEP Copilot. But when I
Yes.
did click on that, it took me to the Lookout Assisted Vision.
Okay.
So I had to
I
type
will-
in the IEP Copilot. So I just wanted you to know that link wasn't correct.
Thank you. I will fix that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, so IEP Copilot, another good one for due process. And I really like their present level or PLAF feedback coach is really great to help you write that in a parent-friendly way. And also their disability impact statement is really nice because sometimes we just live in this space and we have a hard time remembering what we should include in there. Their IEP goal generator is also great because it allows you to pick standards very easily. At least it will let you pick Common Core standards. I see they don't, yes, but they do have Common Core standards that you can pick and write your IEP goals off of that.
Does that also help us with any progress monitoring of goals too? That
Not
IEP
so
Copilot?
much.
Okay.
This one doesn't. Nope. I would go with Able Spaces for that. And that one does, like I said, it has a free version. Everyone that we have had use the free version has always asked for the paid version. So
All right. Thank you very much.
Amanda, I think this question is related to able spaces as well. What do we need to think about in regards to student information and data when using this data collection tool?
yes. So Able Spaces is HIPAA compliant as well. And so it is essentially like using your IEP goal management system. So I'm look into it yourself, right? I always like to make that caveat. But it has the same level of protection in it that an IEP management system. We use sped forms. I don't know if that's popular with you guys or not, but it is supposed to have that same level of security in it. As far as using the other tools, if you're like thinking about Magic School, for example, these try to automatically delete any student data that you accidentally put in there, any personal information. But it again is also safe if you happen to put some in there.
All right, thank you. I don't
Okay.
see any other questions, just lots of people saying thank you so much. This was very informative.
Great.
I would agree with them. This was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much for your time, Amanda.
Thanks for having me and have a good night, everybody.